This is Dave Sarner from the Rise and Fall Fantasy Football Show. Welcome to Week 5 edition. We are a quarter way through the season here. And this week, unlike last week, I am joined by my host, my co-host of the day, Fourth and One Pod native, I guess you could say, Matty Ferrero. Matty, how you doing, bud?
How's it going, man? Sorry I haven't been able to join in a little bit, but pumped to be back, pumped to be talking fantasy, and hopefully help some people make some good decisions here because it's tough sledding right now.
You know, it really is, man. I mean, shit, this week hit me. I swear to God, I was like 3 weeks, 4 weeks in. I'm sitting here like, yo, I am set. We're good. I'm not getting hit by the bugs. And I had a thought last week, Matt, about, oh, okay, you know what? Like, I spent $60 on my two guys, and someone spent like 60 on Zeke. And Matt, I shouldn't even had that thought in my fucking head because 2 days later, Austin Eckler goes down, and I feel like it's my fault.
It's all you personally injured Austin Eckler, which that's things we got to discuss. Like, who do you pick up in that situation? Because I think in most leagues, there's not that much available. A lot of people had Joshua Kelly, so I guess you get Justin Jackson. If I even said his name right, I always get him confused with.
No, you're right. You're dead on. All
right, perfect.
Josh Kelly was the one that was drafted a lot, but so was Justin Jackson. Actually, this was the team. They had like two guys getting drafted. Everyone assumed, hey, who's going to take the Melvin Gordon role? Well, I mean, now, who the hell knows?
Who knows how this is going to go exactly. And then the other big breakout for the week was I can't even fucking say his name, but the backup for Nick Chubb, who nobody knew existed until Nick Chubb got hurt.
Listen, so, I mean, I'm surprised I remember this name, but Ernst Johnson.
Yeah, and it's like, and honestly, like, I'm going to go ahead and judge his parents right here. What the fuck were you guys thinking? Like, how do you look at a small and be like, Ernst?
Yeah, right.
Like, that is like, what?
Like you can't add like an extra letter.
Coming out, Ernst, stop crying, you little baby ass. Like, what the hell is that?
You're so right, too, because, like, I thought, I looked at the name, I'm like, do I say it Ernst or is it Ernst? Is it one?
That's what I'm saying. I have no clue how to say it. Like, if you're gonna put a D in front of the name, whatever. Mm-hmm. I personally disagree, but whatever. To each their own. But make it clear. At least it should be clear to me exactly, what the hell you're trying to say here.
Listen, as a fellow, D letter starting in my name, I'm not like, I don't know how to say this.
Fellow D.
I'm not sure how to go about that. But usually when I hear these names, like, so for the one I always refer to is No Sean Moreno because he went to a high school near me.
He actually
in high school.
Same, man. He actually has the exact same birthday as me.
Does he?
Yeah, same day, same year, everything.
I feel like we talked about this and I probably just forgot, but probably. but in terms of No Sean's name, what I found out was his name was a combination between his father and his mother's name. His father's name was Knowledge. And I think his mom's name was Shonda or Sonda or something like that. So it was No Sean as the
combination of the two, which kind of like, all right, fair enough.
So when I see Ernst Johnson, I'm thinking to myself, is that a combination name? And if
like,
who the fuck's name is Ernst?
Yeah, really, like.
I mean,
I really don't even know what to say about that.
It's a hell of a name, And
Johnson,
it
really is.
I guess you got to have an interesting name if you have Johnson as your last name. It's like a rule now in the pros,
right? It's true.
But we'll get into his value because that's really what I'm sure everyone's here to listen to. That's what they want to talk about, Matt. They want to show. They want us to tell them who the hell they're supposed to be picking up, who they're supposed to be starting.
Yep.
And you know what? Because this show, Matt, comes out. We record it here Tuesday night, but because it goes live pretty much Wednesday night, Thursday morning for the Thursday games, the first episode, I figured, what the hell is the point of us doing this free agent waiver wire? We could tell you these things, and these are going to be guys that are already picked up 2 days from now, right?
Yeah.
So instead, what I want to do, okay, we're going to try something a little different today on the show.
All right, you got my attention.
It's our first little segment here. Now, I know every show has these, everyone, but I wanted to add a little segment here before we just got into the straight-up game-by-game analysis. And I'm going to call this segment Hit It or Quit It.
Ooh.
And so similar concept as what guys, but this is going to be a little different how we're doing it. We're going to do an all sit or all hit it, all sit it team of the week, really just our all hit it team of the week, right? And we're going to look at the guys. We're looking for guys who really weren't on the radar whatsoever, guys who you would probably in other weeks been like, nah, But guys who exploded, and now let me rephrase. I'm not talking Sam Darnold because let's face it, we're not going to go out and tell you to start Sam Darnold or pick him up even as a waiver wire or bye week filler. That's not what I'm
The
referring
only
to.
time you should be looking at the Jets, or dare I say it, even my dear sweet Giants for fantasy, is if another team is playing against them.
Mm-hmm. If it's
Gonna throw it out
if
there.
it's Jets versus Giants, maybe, you know.
But we should be so lucky.
Right, but listen, Sam Darnold did have a good week last week, and we'll go. I'll show you what we're talking about here. And so the idea here is that we're going to nominate both of us one person. All right. We're gonna do one quarterback, all hit, your hit it of the week or quit it of the week from last week. We're not talking about guys who are gonna explode for you like this week right now, but maybe guys who are worth the investment, guys who maybe could step up, guys who weren't playing well, who now are starting to play well again, and finally, is their value going to stay there? I have a running back in mind from Cincinnati that might be on this list that I'm referring to. It's things like that. So I'll let you do you'll nominate the first quarterback, right? And we'll both do a running back, both do a receiver, and I'll do a tight end. How about that?
Is there a list we're drawing this from, or I'm just saying any quarterback?
You could choose any. So I'm gonna make this easy for you. So you don't have to go to your phone or anything like that. I got you covered here. Okay, let me just gotta share this real quick. Okay. You see my screen now, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let me just get this up because this thing is stupid. All right, so now you see the rankings list here, right?
Yeah, Brian Fitzpatrick, Derek Carr, Teddy B.
Right. So we're just going week 4 here. So we're trying to talk about guys who really had a good week, who could be guys. So I'm going to give you an example. We're going to do both one quarterback, a running back, a receiver, and a tight end. It's going to be our hit it, or you can choose to have someone who's maybe on the decline. That's a quit it. Okay. So guys who you just want to just say, you know what, we're done with them. Okay. I have a guy also I'm going to use for the wide receiver position. But so for example, my first one here, I'll start with this. I'm going to go with my hit it here, or my hit it or quit it. The guy I'm going to choose though for this list. Let me just make sure everyone's here. Sorry, we got to do this correctly. So to start off the hit it and quit it segment, Matt, I'm going to go with. I got to do this correctly. Sorry. It's okay. We're going to do this. So to start off the segment, we're going to talk about someone we want to hit it or quit it from the quarterback. My nominee for the hit it or quit it is going to be Teddy Bridgewater. Now, let me get the stats correctly here. Teddy Bridgewater is a guy that no one, including myself, would have ever gone out and got, put on my lineup, had him as a backup. You just don't roster him. And there's a reason for
he doesn't seem exciting. It's like he's not that.
He's a dumped down guy. He's not a runner. He doesn't have that wow factor. But
I'm sorry to cut you off. I was going to say he's one of those guys who's super effective in the actual league. Yep. You know what I mean? He's someone I wouldn't mind quarterbacking my team, but fantasy purposes, he's not going to wow me. He's not going to put up those numbers that are going to make me want to draw him in.
Right, exactly. So for me, I looked at this week and I saw a lot of improvement in that area. He ran a touchdown. It wasn't anything spectacular, but he was throwing deep. He seems to have a really good rapport with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, you know what? He has a pretty good matchup coming up. If you have Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford and say you need a guy, listen, they played Arizona last week. Let me just bring up this real quick. They play Atlanta next week, okay, which could be a very big shootout for them, even in Atlanta. So I really like Teddy Bridgewater for this week, but then you look at his schedule down, Matt, a little bit, and he has I didn't mean to click back out of that, but he has some good matchups coming up. And listen, he might be turning that curve a little bit. I mean, like I said, you have receivers, Mike Davis catch the ball, and by the way, he's gonna get back Christian McCaffrey eventually.
Yeah,
I think it could be someone. This is the kind of year I would never say have 2 QBs, 2 tight ends. Sorry, man, I just want to say this real quick.
No worries.
But this is that kind of year, and we're seeing it with the injuries now. That, you know what, maybe this is a year that I do have a competent backup at quarterback, if you can afford it. Competent backup at quarterback, competent backup
crucial
at tight
element.
end.
Crucial element.
I personally have 2 tight ends. I've had Tom Brady and Russell Wilson on my team, my main league, and you better be damn sure I ain't giving up Tom Brady, because God forbid I do, and Russell Wilson goes down the next week. Or he gets COVID, or he's testing positive, he's out for a couple of weeks. I'm not risking it this year. So I know that philosophy. Think it's a dumb one this year. Teddy Bridgewater, Matt, though, do you hit it or quit it?
I feel like there needs to be a third category, but I'd say for the intensive purposes here, I'd say hit it. Honestly, like you don't know what's gonna happen. Like you said, anybody could go down in any minute. We're seeing superstars, nobodies, and household names get completely obliterated by the injury bug this year. You're better off if you've got the roster space, even if you don't think you're gonna start him just yet, stash him and play him against those key matchups.
And
Matchups.
again, and again, I think for this week particular, really nice bye week filler for Lions and Packers are on bye. Just so we talk about that ahead of time. Rodgers, Stafford's, those are guys that people are probably rostering, and most likely, at least Rodgers, we know for sure. But that's my nominee for the week. I'm going to go with hit it, Matt. I convinced myself that if I had to go with him for a couple of weeks, he's worth a roster spot. Listen, if you want to get rid of him after a week and it's just a flyer, fine. But I think in the next couple of weeks, he could be a valuable asset. And if you guys start to see quarterbacks get dried up a little bit, you might want to grab him now. I don't think he's going to be there for that long.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. If he has a big week, you're looking at guys like Matt Stafford's out, Aaron Rodgers is out, like you said. This is a good time to do it. If you can grab him, grab him.
Exactly. And Matt, is there anyone you want to nominate the quarterback?
From what I'm looking at
listen,
here,
I know I put you on the spot. I didn't give you any prep time, but I wanted to
oh no,
surprise
no
you with
worries.
the segment.
I kind of like this a lot. Can you do me a solid real quick and bring up Derek Carr?
Derek Carr. I think he's down here a little bit. Let's see.
Yeah, just above Mahomes there. Yeah.
You want me to bring up his stats?
Yeah, if you can bring up his stats in the week by week. I want to actually take a look at his schedule really quick.
Yep.
So he's going against Kansas City, so we can anticipate they're going to be coming out guns blazing if they can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's once they get their receivers back. But then there's a bye, and then we're looking at Tampa Bay. Good defense.
Yep.
Then Cleveland, Chargers, Denver, Kansas City again, and Atlanta. This is a guy that after the bye is probably going to be looking to have a pretty good season. If his team members can come back healthy, if he gets Ruggs, if Edwards starts doing everything they talked about him doing in training camp, you still got Renfro out there who's who was it? I think it was Ruggs who said he was the best route runner on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've obviously got Waller and Josh Jacobs. He could get rolling. He could get rolling very quickly towards the second half of the year. So this is a guy, I'm going to say hit it, but stash him for now. If you got the space, if you can manage it, grab him before the bye, and then just hopefully he goes off, following week 7.
Listen, I actually do agree with you on some of the lineups later on. You can say what you want. Listen, Kansas City is going to be tough in Kansas City. Tampa Bay is going to be a little tough. But they've already played New England. They played Buffalo. And sure, Carolina's actually a really tough play this year. Some of the tougher defenses he's already played, he's not going to wow you, but I think, his cap could be 20, 21 points like you're seeing there. And to your point, he's doing this a lot without his receivers right now.
Yep.
I think the bye week's going to be really crucial for him and this team to get healthy.
I agree.
If you can get Ruggs back healthy, if you can get some of these guys playing a little better, and Darren, because in my opinion, last week's particular, was it last week? Or the week before? I know one of the weeks, Darren Waller played awful and Josh Jacobs, they were both hurt. So I think that was the New Orleans week too. So I am kind of on a quit it with him just from a perspective of, I think after the bye, week 7 could be a nice area for him. Personally, I don't think you're going to stash him right now, but I also think you can get some value for him.
I agree.
Especially if you have Waller. I mean, it's not a terrible combination. Check your guy's bye week. He has an early bye too. So especially for late weeks like 11, 10, 11, 12, it could be a really good bye week filler. All right, so running backs, Matt. Now, I'm going to let you go first on the running backs. All right, there's a lot to choose from here. So we're going to go down the list here.
There's a ton.
All right, so Joe Mixon leads the way here. Had a great week. Dalvin Cook, Melvin Gordon, strong. Chris Carson coming in strong. Lat Murray over Alvin Kamara. Obviously that's going to be an anomaly and kind of what's that called?
That's based on who they're playing. Anomaly was right. No, that's
anomaly, right?
Not something.
And then my boys here, Antonio Gibson, Aaron Jones. Now remember, Aaron Jones on bye, so people that need that stuff. I'll scroll down here a little bit for you so you can take a look.
Say who do I think is someone we could have go off here? Because it's tough at the running back position.
Well, talk about people who went off and someone who might be able to invest in. Obviously, some of these guys, they're your go-tos.
Oh, there's an easy answer here. That someone who's been doing consistently good work that's worth investing in, and that's Mike Davis. Mike Davis has filled in admirably for Carolina, and while I don't expect him to completely fill the shoes of Christian McCaffrey, he's walking around in them for sure. So it's definitely worth if somehow you can get him. I can't imagine there's a way he's not been picked up, but that's a guy who's proved he can be reliable. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see him go to a different team in the offseason just because he's done so well.
And we've seen him do that, right? But he always like never gets his shot. He's always kind of this behind the scenes guy. But listen, McCaffrey is banged up, and I agree with you. I think Mike Davis, if anything, you have to think that Matt Rule is going to be like, you know what? We already lost Christian McCaffrey like 4 weeks into the season. Maybe we should spell him a little bit with this guy who's pretty damn good too. And
yeah,
I
just work him back into full power.
I do think we start to see the decline with Mike Davis, or decline with Christian McCaffrey's overall.
I think
back status.
I think
he's supposed to.
I think,
a lot, but
yeah, I think for a couple weeks we'll see him get spelled a little bit because Christian McCaffrey's thing has always been that he's on for like 97% of the offensive snaps or something. Like this guy's cardio has to be completely insane. But I think we'll see him ease back in. So there will be that point where both of their stats dip a little bit towards the middle of the season whenever McCaffrey is back. But towards the end of the year, I think we'll see it ramp back up, and McCaffrey, for that reason, could potentially be a league winner.
Okay. So, I mean, I feel like I know the answer, but so in your opinion, though, for the rest of the year, is Mike Davis a hit it or a quit it?
Ooh.
Do you sell high now, knowing Christian McCaffrey comes back, or do you invest in the value that, hey, he can get hurt, he might have this, or he's going to have a role, and you have some backup value?
If you can sell now. I do have there's another guy up here who I think is very much worth picking up, if at all possible.
And that's
true. That's Melvin Gordon. I was going to say Melvin Gordon's a hit it. If you can get him, you know, offer a trade, do what you got to do. He's looking like the MG of old, you know, and I think we're going to see him continue to improve as the season goes on. He's not going to put up 2 to 3 touchdowns every single outing, but he is going to continue to grind and get those points. I think Phillip Lindsay coming back is going to eat into that just a little bit, but I don't think it's anything to completely sweat.
Well, I think to your point, Phillip Lindsay, even when he was there, this is why I brought this up because, yeah, even if he gets 19, 15 carries, he's still getting some production. He's the main guy. He's going to get you carries. This Tampa Bay game was game script right away. I can tell you right now, I watched the film. I mean, that was – they had bad field position right away. They were down early, so they abandoned the run. It wasn't anything to do with him just not performing well. Obviously, 8 attempts, you need more than that. So 23, he went off last week. It was the Jets. I'm not going to be too crazy yet. But I am going to buy in on I didn't like him as much before the season, but I think he we'll get to it. I think he had some receptions too in that game. So let me see here. So 3 for 211, nothing crazy, but he's getting the carries, and I understand. Yeah, I get Phil Lindsay come back. I'm gonna hit it with him. I really think he's a good RB1. Even with Lindsay there, I know how they use those running backs. The one is the one. So
agreed.
I am a quit it potentially with Mike Davis. I'm actually going to go with hit it also on him, though. I think you can keep him for some value down the road. And potentially, listen, McCaffrey, we don't know if he's going to come back and get hurt again or whatever. I think, especially from a third down position or just a spell position, he's going to get the volume there. And it could be a little bit more than you guys think with the, scare to their star player. I'm going to do mine real quick here, Matt. So I have 2 nominees here. My first one being Joe Mixon, top of the list. Has been shitting the bed the entire season. He puts up 39 points this week.
Put up a monster game.
He looked like everything that we were hoping that he could be. However, he's going to be a quit it for me. I just don't think he is going to keep doing that. I think you're going to see more. I think he's going to regress back to the mean kind of thing with him. If I'm you, if I have Joe Mixon, I'm selling him right now. While his value is at his highest it's going to be, I'm selling Joe Mixon, trying to get some better value, maybe a wide receiver if I need to. And the other guy on my list, I'm going to go opposite here. I think he's finally arrived. We talked about him for a few weeks. Antonio Gibson. 20 points this week. He really, I mean, great. Yeah, 1346, nothing sexy. I can tell you right now, Matt, 5 for 4, 82 yards receiving. He was the guy. He was getting the carries. He was getting the touches. There was no one competing with him. And that game, listen, if they weren't playing the Ravens, I think that either way, that game would have been through Antonio Gibson. Here's a fun fact for you, Matt. 63% of the yards gained by the Washington offense were between Antonio Gibson. I'm sorry, I think it might be 83%, but between Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin, just those two.
Wow.
So large volume for both those guys. They're the only two you're going to play from Washington at this point. But I have him as a hit it. If you can try to get him, I think he's going to not maybe be an RB1, but I think he's a confident, concrete RB2 for your lineup. He's getting receptions now, which is the biggest thing that I was worried about with J.D. McKissick. So I'm going to hit it on Antonio Gibson. I'm going to quit it on Joe Mixon.
Interesting.
All right, so we're going to do one wide receiver each year, okay? And then we'll do a tight end, okay? I'll go first, the wide receiver here. So the wide receiver that I want to talk about here is a guy who was in the Thursday night matchup, Matt, a man named Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick put up 20 fantasy points, had 7 targets, 6 receptions for 113 yards and a touch, and he was clearly the top option for one Brett Rypien.
Yeah.
Now, how long Brett Rypien starts, I have no idea, but in the next few weeks, he is the quarterback. I think Locke should come back, but if he is the quarterback, I really like Tim Patrick. He's getting the confidence of that coaching staff. I think he's going to become the legit number 2 behind Judy over KJ Hamler. And for me, I'll hit that all day, baby. Tim Patrick.
Yeah. Really? I don't know if I buy him for the full season. I really don't.
Maybe not the full season, but I think you can have good value
for this week.
For
the
next couple, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And who
I can
knows?
agree with that.
Maybe Locke does like him too, and then all of a sudden he's even better. So I think you could buy him a little low. I mean, granted, he'll go for a bit, but I think you could buy him for a little low, and he seems to be a solid number 2 on a team that needs it. So
I'm gonna go with Kenny Galladay, who's been pretty disappointing. Can you bring up his stats throughout the year? Like I don't think he has really anything to write home about.
Now he missed the first 2 weeks, and then he's had 14 consistent last 2 weeks, 57 around that average, 60 yards and a touch.
I'm gonna come out and say it. I might be crazy for this. I feel like there's potentially evidence to the contrary. I don't trust him.
Really?
I really don't. I'm gonna go quit it on him. It's just something about him this year. Maybe it's just a disappointing first couple weeks, but we'll see. I might be wrong on that in the future, but yeah, I'm just not in love with Kenny Galladay this year, and I have him on a couple teams, so I would love to be wrong. I just.
I could see it. I mean, it's not like he's exploding. 14 points. I mean, like
we said, 14 points is solid, but like, yeah, it seems like it's
not game winning. It's not
right.
Game winning.
It's largely he looks to be largely touchdown dependent right now. So it's like, Although it does say here the next closest Lions player had 4 targets.
So we'll get into targets. We'll strategize a little bit for the week after. Well, we won't do it for them. But you're right. I mean, I mean, realistically, none of them got a lot of targets. I think DeAndre Swift was the top target, factor.
Was he?
Yeah, but so I'm gonna go with hit it on Kenny just because I think this is his floor personally. I think he's gonna get more targets as we go along here. I think he's gonna have an explosive game. But and for especially for the next 2 weeks when he comes back, Jacksonville, Atlanta's beatable. Now, granted, afterwards he plays Indy. I'm not excited about that matchup. But Minnesota, Washington's a tough matchup with their guys back. They have 2 guys in the top PFF grades right now. Offensively, can make that an easier game for them. Carolina's tough, so they have a tougher schedule down the road. Chicago, I could see you trying to trade high on him if you could. Maybe after the bye, try to do something with him.
Yeah, do something.
But I'm gonna be a hit it on that. I love Kenny Galladay. I think he's gonna get better as the year goes on, as he gets healthier with the bye week. I could be wrong too. Who knows? But I think he has a good shot there. And then Matt, let's just do one tight end, okay? Let's just do one tight end, and we'll jump into everything here. Now, I was gonna do OJ Howard, and of course he got hurt. But let's go with the obvious guy here, I guess. Robert Tonyan. My boy, if you watch that, I was solo last week, Matt. So I know you weren't here, but I was big on Robert Tonyan.
You were right. You were very right.
I mean, listen, I didn't think he was going to go 3 TDs, but he did a lot of great things. He definitely seems like 6 for 6, 98 yards and 3 TDs. That's not just 3 TDs. He was the main guy last night with Devontae out and the others out. He won't do this every week. He's not going to be crazy getting the yards. But I think he's absolutely earned the trust of Aaron Rodgers, and that's someone you want the trust of. He's
very much so.
Tight ends in fantasy touchdowns right now, overall. That's crazy. So I'm gonna hit it all day on that. I picked him up to back up Calvin Ridley. I should have started Tonyan over him, but now he's my TE1. I'm gonna probably start him over Tyler Higbee moving forward. So
there you go.
All right, so that was the hit it or quit it segment. I'm going to give you, like, now that you know what it is, we'll try to do it every week so you have maybe someone.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, I'll pick a guy out now.
Sitting throwing rocks across the pavement.